And lawmakers returned to work on Capitol Hill today. They've got several pressing issues to tackle after their August recess. That includes the House, which took an extended break following Republican leaders' concerns about members pushing for a vote on a resolution to force the Justice Department to release the Jeffrey Epstein files. Prior to their break, House Speaker Mike Johnson contended that by September, the DOJ would be more able to give transparency on the files, making a resolution to compel their release unnecessary. Meanwhile, Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna of California says he and Republican Congressman Thomas Massie of Kentucky will hold a joint news conference this week with victims of Epstein, where they will share their personal stories. At the same time, Congress is facing a September 30th funding deadline to avoid a government shutdown. A key issue there, President Trump's effort to cancel funding that was already approved by Congress through so-called pocket rescissions, rarely used but certainly earning ire from Congress. Democrats have warned that any effort to unilaterally claw back money that was previously approved would seriously undermine the fragile bipartisanship required to fund the government. The threat of pocket rescissions is also getting pushback from some Republicans, too, including the Senate Republicans' chief funding negotiator, Senator Susan Collins of Maine. She said, quote, any effort to rescind appropriated funds without congressional approval is a clear violation of the law.
If it's a violation of the law, then why is it allowed? Yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of losing hope with all this shit. It's just, I mean, he's doing good things. You know, things are moving, but it's just, I just wish the government would just shut down. Honestly, I just wish it would just shut down. I just wish we could, you know, it's way too big, way too bloated, way too much money is being spent, way too much money is allocated for the DOD. It's just a mess, and it wasn't fixed when it needed to get fixed, and it seems like it's never going to get fixed at this point. It's never going to get fixed. You know, 2 million employees, billions of dollars in debt. You talk about unfunded liabilities. I mean, you don't even want to Google that number. What's the unfunded liability number for the United States, and then throw it down in the comments. See how many zeros you got to put on that thing. But I just don't get it. Like I don't get. It's like it feels like we're spinning our wheels and we're not getting anywhere, or at least we were trying to get somewhere and we're not making it. It's not happening. The thing isn't. It's not jiving. I don't know. I'm very uneasy right now as to how this is all going. Like, you know, I don't know if I needed to see it move faster, but I kind of know midterms are coming up, so now everything's going to shift and pivot. Now it's going to become very political, and politics are going to start kicking in, and I don't know. Let's see.
Joining us now, reporter covering the U.S. Senate for Axios, Stephen Newcomb. So let's start right there with the funding battle, of course. You've got Susan Collins coming out and saying she doesn't like the pocket rescissions that were used by the president in the White House. That word rescissions, though, is one that they use a lot. And it only makes the funding battle that much more difficult because Congress and Democrats are like, if we're going to negotiate this stuff and then you're going to come around the back end and take back all the things that we negotiated for us, what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, it's muddying already really murky waters. And, you know, there's already a ton of bad blood between Democratic leadership on the Hill and the president. In a lot of ways,
I mean, maybe this can get worked out. Like maybe if the midterms come along and, you know, they increase their seats by a good margin, maybe that'll help. But we need more guys like Massie and Ron Paul and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm blinded by them also. I'm sure they're all the same. Everybody's the same. I'm at the point now where I've kind of lost faith in everybody. You know, where I just don't think this. So it's just like, all right, I got to do this shit on my own. They're going to take 50% of my money, and I'm going to just have to deal with it. Suck it up and deal with it, and that's it. Just kind of like, you know, make my own way and do what I got to do and just find my own peace and everything. Because it's all bullshit. You're just getting to that point where it just feels like it's all bullshit. But yeah, like Massie and Paul and stuff, like guys like that, like I still have a little bit of like hope in people like that as long as that word can get out and people can kind of understand that this is really what we got to try to do, and they bring attention to the right issues. This Epstein file thing, I just think it's like it's kind of like a smokescreen at this point.
You know, these funding agreements at some level will have to be a decision between Democrats on the Hill and the White House. I mean, Republicans on the Hill can really only go as far as the White House is sort of willing to let them in negotiating any sort of compromise. So that's sort of the stalemate that we're at. Democrats incredibly upset about the pocket rescissions, saying Trump is breaking the law. they have raised that flag. He's continued to do it. He did it again over the recess, I think surprising some folks on the Hill. So, how do we avoid that shutdown by the end of this month? There is not a clear path to doing so.
Yeah, it's definitely their top priority. And in my conversations, especially with House Democrats, they feel emboldened, but also burned from the last time a shutdown happened. I had Congressman Ro Khanna on the show with me yesterday, and he was talking about how the consensus among House Democrats is we're going to withhold our votes as leverage for everything from what's happening with the Fed to what's happening with the CDC to what's happening with pocket rescissions. Democrats feel they have the leverage on the House side, but they had that leverage before. I mean, has the Senate dynamic changed on this at all?
I think it has changed. I mean, you have to remember, go back to March, the last time that they voted for what was a short-term resolution to get them through to September, 6 months. It was the closest thing that Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has ever had to an open challenge to his leadership. I think that the leadership team understands that in this context, something has to end differently. They cannot take the terms that Republicans dictate, provide, the X amount of Democratic votes needed to do so, fund the government, and then have the president turn around and continue to do these rescissions. It's just not a feasible option for the leadership team at this point. So I do think.
Yeah, but they're weak. They're in the weak part because they've ran their party into the ground, right? Their approval rating is in the tubes. I mean, they're gonna lose massive amount of seats as of now. I mean, unless something humongous happens in the next couple of months, they are gonna lose a ton of seats. They're just floundering. I mean, they could say whatever it is, whatever he wants. You could say that Trump is this, Trump is that. At the end of the day, I mean, they got played because all of these issues, when it comes to safety, when it comes to LGBT, when it comes to whatever it is you want to say, the Democratic Party clings on to these fringe ideas, and they ignore the bigger picture. Why? I don't know. I can't understand it. I can't understand why you take sometimes a 90. Safety is got to be like a 99 issue, 99-1 issue, right? Maybe 90-10 for crazy white liberals and that don't experience crime. But it's got to be super high as far as like a priority, right? So when you see him going in and cleaning up DC, how do you counter that with saying, I don't know, authoritarianism, or like, I don't get how you, why would you even go at it that angle? Why wouldn't you just say, yeah, we're having a difficult time, with resources, blah, blah, blah. Federal government's helping us out, whatever. Like just figure it out, try to spin it, or ask them, listen, we want help, bring it in, clean up our cities, and then maybe you get reelected again. Who knows? But everything that they're doing, it's not working.
Given the pressure that mounted last time, Schumer and the folks around him know that something different has to happen at the end of this outcome, and we just don't know what that looks like yet, whether that's a shutdown or not.
I think my sources, too, are saying that there were some lessons learned from that, and that because of pressure, both internal within the Senate ranks, but then also external from the grassroots, this funding fight is going to look a little bit different. We'll see ultimately what it looks like. But one of the other key things swirling in the pot right now is this ongoing issue of releasing the Epstein files. You've got Khanna and Massey pushing it on the House side, trying to show these victim stories at the center of it to compel Republicans to vote to release these files. Doesn't change the fact that leadership thought that a longer recess would let the steam out of the pot on this. It really hasn't happened that way at all.
I don't think it has. And you have to think of this issue as one issue that might not operate the same as other issues in politics. This is a popular culture issue, right? I mean, this is something that is sort of on social media all the time. Every time you open it, there's something else about something else that's going on sort of in this.
It's only popularized because the left saw the mishandling of the issue, and now they made it an issue, their issue. Right? When it comes to MAGA, when it comes to the libertarians in the MAGA, when it comes to the liberals in MAGA, when it comes to anybody on the MAGA side sort of camp, this was always an issue. And it only became an overall cultural issue because the Trump administration mishandled it, right? Pam Bondi, Cash, and Bongino, they were kind of floundering around. They didn't have a good direction, and they just mishandled this issue. And they're gonna they got burned over it. And then the left pounced on that as an opportunity to say, aha, you see, they're hiding something. They're involved. We've been wanting this the entire time, blah, blah, blah. Like all this bullshit that obviously they didn't give a shit about this a year and a half ago. But now it's a cultural issue.
Saga. So it's not something I think that, you send lawmakers home for a month. You hope that it simmers down a little bit. I think that it's still at a fever pitch. Folks want to know what is going on. They want transparency from the DOJ. I think Republican leaders were hopeful that the leaders at the DOJ would have some sort of rollout plan or more transparency, and we just haven't seen that yet. So, I don't think that the month break that they took has sort of let all the air out of that balloon yet.
And part of it, I think, is that Republicans were the very ones who had promised their constituents for years that they were going to bring this transparency if they were given power both in the White House and in Congress. They have both of those branches now and are not releasing the files. And then the other piece of this is the discharge petition that Khanna and Massey are trying to force, which is basically a method that would just compel a vote on this on the floor. They think that they have the votes. I mean, do we have any sense of how leadership would deal with that if they are once again pushed to the brink on an issue that puts them in such a weird place with a White House who wants to talk about anything but this and a Congress that feels the pressure to compel the release?
Yeah, again, it's kind of that dynamic of Republicans on the Hill can only go as far as the White House will let them. At least the leadership will. I'm sure that there are procedural moves that Speaker Johnson and his team are considering if the discharge petition comes forward, moving to table. There's a couple of parliamentarian things that they can do to try to get themselves out of it. But the reality is if Mr. Khanna, Mr. Massey have the votes that they need, it could be really hard for Johnson to dodge this one and for the White House to dodge this one as well. So we'll have to see how much support there is in the rank and file. But I would expect there to be a decent amount of support on the House side.
Yeah, I mean, Khanna's unofficial whip count says he's got all 212 Democrats and that Massey can bring to the table a dozen Republicans. Really, all they need for that discharge petition is 218 signatures at a minimum. It's a longer process. It needs to ripen, a word that we use a lot on Capitol Hill. But that's definitely one of the things that we'll be watching really closely this week. And then there's a few others. You've got some new reporting on demands from Senate Democrats that Republicans postpone a confirmation hearing for a key Federal Reserve nominee. He's supposed to be on.
All right, that's kind of bullshit. But just getting back to my earlier point, I know that I was kind of all over the map in this video. But yeah, I just don't know. I don't see. I'm a little. I don't know if I want to say concerned, worried, or just disappointed. Just a lot of good things, a lot of missteps, a lot of things I wasn't anticipating so far in this administration. I'm using this video as kind of like a recap for now. Like economically speaking, things are looking good. The tariffs I was wrong about seem to be working out pretty well. I'm hoping that after the midterms next year, maybe we can get another massive tax cut. It's a very nuanced, convoluted, complicated game, politics. And I don't pretend to know the ins and outs. I'm just a regular guy that kind of, regular average guy that kind of looks at this stuff, is into it, and I just give my ideas and my thoughts based upon what I'm seeing. I try to consume as much different things as I can. As you see here, we're watching MSNBC. By the way, if you can please hit the subscribe button, helps me out a lot as a small channel trying to grow. That's all I'm asking for. Just please hit the subscribe button. But yeah, it's I guess the honeymoon is over, and now like the reality of the world is weighing down on the administration and on the people that were supporting the administration or are supporting the administration. You have the Nick Fuentes crowd that is like, they're like railing against MAGA right now, or Trump, I should say, not MAGA. And you have the boomer right is still very pro MAGA. You have the blind followers of Trump that are just, that's they don't see the things that are there. There are things that are going wrong. There are obviously things that are going wrong, whether it be with Israel, whether it be with Russia. Epstein was a huge flub. And when it comes to like Cash and Bongino and those guys, like at this point, they're like 6-7 months in, we should be seeing some major things, some major headlines at this point. Obviously I like to give everybody a year, see what they do. I guess I'll reassess this in my mind after the year is complete, and hopefully I'm back up in the picked up again, because as of right now, I'm kind of feeling a little bit sluggish on this whole administration. There's just not a lot of stuff that's going on here that I'm excited about. Let me know if you feel differently. Maybe you do. Maybe I'm just down in the weeds, during this time, and Congress was away, nothing was getting done. I mean, they weren't doing anything anyway, so it's not like when they come back they're going to do much of anything. Congress is doing shit. Like Fauci's still hanging out, there's just so much stuff that's just still hanging there. that everybody kind of wanted to see. Like we were so excited about, about Fauci and about COVID and about Epstein and about, taxes and Doge. None of that stuff is there anymore. It's all gone. At least it feels that way. Maybe it's there. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, once the biggest kick to the nuts for me was when Doge was not going to go into DOD and DOD got $1 trillion. Like that was like, fuck. Like once that happened, it was, that was kind of like the nail in the coffin, or the beginning of putting the nail in the coffin for me, right? It's like, okay, so we're not actually taking this seriously. Like the biggest area, like the Fed and the DOD, the biggest area where you probably could have saved the country, we're not looking at that. We're not looking at that. I don't know. Did we ever go and see if all the gold is at Fort Knox? I don't know. Guys, drop down in the comments and try to pick me up because I'm feeling a little down in the dumps right now. 6283 Talk on the X. Hit the like button. You know what? Just hit the subscribe button. That'll do me a lot better. Just hit the subscribe button. That's all you have to do. One little click. I'll wait. All right. Thanks a lot. See you again on the next video. I'm John Soto. Thanks a lot. Take care.